Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday morning. Hey, how's it going, Dr. Dragon Rider? How's it going, Astro? I completely understand. I watched IRI's 17-hour stream as it all happened. Sorry before I discovered you. That's all good. Certainly a disturbing day, that's for sure. Unfortunately, we didn't cover the entirety of it. We actually were live as it all started to unfold. We were live as it all started to unfold. We were live up until it all started to unfold. So like, there was already that initial wave of people pushing, and then we had to sign off, but we pretty much kind of got the gist of where things were going. It's a very cool day so far. Only called out on screwing up at work once. Hey. I'm experiencing a form of PTSD from the arrival of January 6th and the horrifying coup. I would say that it's most likely, I think a better word for it would be insurrection. I think that coup might work. But yeah, and hating Trump and everyone who's part of it. Well, I think that certainly President Trump definitely has a, I believe he has responsibility to bear. I also believe that the folks who continue to push this have a responsibility to bear. But that's just me. We do have a live press briefing, so we're gonna switch over to that because that's happening live right now. So we need to kind of shift gears really quickly because I think it just started. It just started. Okay.
December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021. On that day, I was not only Vice President-elect, I was also a United States Senator. And I was here at the Capitol that morning at a classified hearing with fellow members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Hours later, the gates of the Capitol were breached. I had left, but my thoughts immediately turned not only to my colleagues, but to my staff, who had been forced to seek refuge in our office, converting filing cabinets into barricades. What the extremists who roamed these halls targeted was not only the lives of elected leaders. What they sought to
I want to see healing and reconciliation. Well,
was not only a building, hallowed as it is. What they were assaulting were the institutions, the values, the ideals that generations of Americans have marched, picketed.
I want to see healing and reconciliation. While I agree with you, I would love to see our country have the ability to move forward. Is important, but when there's still a huge chunk of the population who still believes the lies, who still lives in an alternate reality. Using her so dumb, she's so lame. I mean, she is the vice president, so she's gotta speak, right?
We cannot let our future be decided by those bent on silencing our voices, overturning our votes, and peddling lies and misinformation. By some radical faction that may be newly resurgent, but whose roots run old and deep. When I meet with young people, they often ask about the state of our democracy.
That's right, Dr. Dragon Rider.
About January 6th. And what I tell them is January 6th reflects the dual nature of democracy. Its fragility.
True.
And its strength.
True. Kind
The
of.
strength of democracy is the rule of law.
No. Wait. Hold on. The strength of democracy is not necessarily the rule of law. The strength of democracy is the ability for people to self-govern. The strength of democracy, ideally, is people who believe in the idea of a transparent, strong, and inclusive institution, or set of institutions that all check and balance each other. If anyone took credit for it, there'd be actual reconciliation. That would be one thing, but they have not taken it back. Yeah, sometimes, we even see sometimes doubling down. Sometimes we even see doubling down.
Ability of democracy. Yet, the resolve I saw in our elected leaders when I returned to the Senate chamber that night, their resolve not to yield, but to certify the election, their loyalty not to party or person, but to the Constitution of the United States.
That's right.
That reflects.
You will stream this later. Good idea.
And so, of course, does the heroism of the Capitol Police, the DC Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guard, and other law enforcement officers who answered the call that day, including those who later succumbed to wounds, both visible and invisible. Our thoughts are with all of the families who have lost a loved one. You know, I wonder, how will January 6th
The Democrats are milking this way too much.
in the years ahead?
Sounds like
Will it be
maybe
remembered
the
as a
Republicans
moment
should have done better.
that accelerated the unraveling of the oldest, greatest democracy in the world? Or a moment when we decided to secure and strengthen our democracy for generations to come. The American spirit is being tested.
The National Guard didn't come, and she
The
said they
answer
killed cops.
to whether we
Yeah,
will
the
meet
National Guard
that-
never came in time anyways. Unless she calls for the 1,000 internal conspirators to be brought in to talk to Congress and take it back, the speech is pointless. I don't know if it's pointless. It does serve a purpose, like, politically. But I understand that it may feel hollow should there no be any, actions behind it.
The American people must also do something more. We cannot sit on the sidelines. We must unite in defense of our democracy
True.
in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our prosperity and posterity. That is the preamble of the Constitution that President Biden and I swore an oath to uphold and defend. And that is the enduring promise of the United States of America. My fellow Americans, it is my honor to introduce a public servant with the character and fortitude to meet this moment, a leader whose life's work has been moving our nation toward that more perfect union, President Joe Biden.
What do you got for me?
Madam Vice President, my fellow Americans, to state the obvious, 1 year ago today, in this sacred place, democracy was attacked, simply attacked. The will of the people was under assault. The Constitution, our Constitution, faced the gravest of threats. Outnumbered in the face of a brutal attack, the Capitol Police, the DC Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guard, and other brave law enforcement officials saved the rule of law. Our democracy held. We, the people, endured. We, the people, prevailed.
By the thinnest of thinnest.
A president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power as a violent mob reached the Capitol. But they failed. They failed. And on this day of remembrance, we must make sure that such attack never, never happens again.
True.
I'm speaking to you today from Statuary Hall in the United States Capitol. This is where the House of Representatives met for 50 years in the decades leading up to the Civil War. This is on this floor. It's where young Congressman of Illinois, Abraham Lincoln, sat at desk 191. Above him, above us, over that door leading into the rotunda, is a sculpture depicting Cleo, the muse of history. In her hands, an open book in which she records the events taking place in this chamber below. Cleo stood watch over this hall 1 year ago today, as she has for more than 200 years. She recorded what took place, the real history, the real facts, the real truth. The facts and
We
the
should
truth
hear this and make sure it never
Vice
happens again.
President
True.
Harris just shared, and that you and I and the whole world saw with our own eyes. The Bible tells us that we shall know the truth, and the truth shall make us free. We shall know the truth. Well, here is the God's truth
What?
about January 6, 2021. Close your eyes. Go back to that day. What do you see? Rioters rampaging, waving for the first time inside this Capitol. Confederate flag that symbolized the cause to destroy America.
If we don't have to close our eyes, we can literally go back to any one of our VODs. There's so many. There's like over 500 hours of footage.
Breaking windows, kicking in doors, breaching the Capitol. American flags on poles being used as weapons, as spears. Fire extinguishers being thrown at the heads of police officers. A crowd that professes their love for law enforcement assaulted those police officers.
True.
Dragged them, sprayed them, stomped on them.
True.
Over 140 police officers were injured. We all heard the police officers who were there that day testify to what happened. One officer called it, quote, a medieval battle, and that he was more afraid that day than he was fighting the war in Iraq. They've repeatedly asked since that day, how dare anyone diminish, belittle, or deny the hell they were put through. We saw with our own eyes. Rioters menaced these halls,
Well, you can ask the
threatening the life of the
Republican
Speaker
Party.
of the House, literally erecting gallows to hang the Vice President of the United States of America. What did we not see? We didn't see a former president who had just rallied the mob to attack, sitting in the private dining room off the Oval Office in the White House, watching it all on television and doing nothing for hours.
Hot take,
As
the
police were
Democrats
assaulted.
love that it happened.
Lives at
Wrong.
risk.
You're actually incorrect. The Republican Party loved it. Donald Trump loved it.
Tourists. This was an armed insurrection. They weren't looking to uphold the will of the people. They were looking to deny the will of the people. They
True.
weren't looking to uphold a free and fair election. They were looking to overturn one.
That's right.
They were looking to save the cause of America. They were looking to subvert the Constitution. This isn't about being bogged down in the past. It's about making sure the past isn't buried. That's the only way forward. That's what great nations do. They don't bury the truth. They face up to it. Sounds like hyperbole, but that's the truth. They face up to it. We are a great nation. My fellow Americans, in life there's truth, and tragically there are lies. Lies conceived and spread for profit and power. We must be absolutely clear about what is true and what is a lie. And here's the truth. The former
me,
President
Jack.
of the United States of America has created and spread a web of lies about the 2020 election. He's done so because he values power over principle, because he sees his own interest as more important than his country's interest, than America's interest, and because his bruised ego matters more to him than our democracy or our Constitution. He can't accept he lost.
Willix,
That's
thank
what
you for the
93
follow.
United
Appreciate
States
that.
senators, his own attorney general, his own vice president, governors and state officials in every battleground state have all said he lost. That's what 81 million of you did as you voted for a new way forward. He has done what no president in American history, the history of this country, has ever done. He refused to accept the results of an election and the will of the American people. Well, some courageous men and women in the Republican Party are standing against it, trying to uphold the principle of that party. Too many others are transforming that party
If
into
it's a
something
joke,
else.
you can come back.
They seem no longer to want to be the party of Lincoln, Eisenhower, Reagan, the Bushes.
What?
But whatever my other disagreements are with Republicans who support the rule of law and not the rule of a single man, I will always seek to work together with them to find shared solutions where it's possible. Because if we have a shared belief in democracy, then anything is possible. Anything.
But they don't.
So at this moment, we must decide, what kind of nation are we going to be? Are we going to be a nation
Why
that
would you
accepts
want to be like Reagan? Why would you want the Republicans to be like Reagan? Why would you want the Republicans to be like the Bushes? What?
Shadow of lies. We cannot allow ourselves to be that kind of nation.
He was completely unbased, unpoggers. But you're right. Without him, we wouldn't have so much instability.
November 3rd, 2020. Think about that.
Yeah, Bush literally stole the election in Florida just in a more legal manner.
Thought
True.
when you voted that day, taking part in an
Why am I sitting here yelling at my TV?
Or did you
Because
think
it's
you were carrying
politics.
out your highest duty as a citizen?
Because it's politics. Welcome, Dakabayan.
Former president's supporters are trying to rewrite history. They want you to see Election Day as the day of insurrection. And the riot that took place here on January 6th as a true expression of the will of the people.
Fuck off.
Can you think of a more twisted way to look at this country, to look at America? I cannot. Here's the truth. The election of 2020 was the greatest demonstration of democracy in the history of this country. More of you voted in that election than have ever voted in all of American history. Over 150 million Americans went to the polls and voted that day. In a pandemic, some at great risk to their lives. They should be applauded, not attacked. Right now, in state after state, new laws are
I don't know about traitorous, but certainly a
not to protect
troll.
the vote, but to deny it. Not only to suppress the vote, but to subvert it. Not to strengthen and protect our democracy, but because the former president lost, instead of looking at the election results from 2020 and saying they need new ideas or better ideas to win more votes, the former president and his supporters have decided the only way for them to win is to suppress your vote and subvert our elections. It's wrong.
True.
It's undemocratic.
True.
And frankly, it's un-American. The second big lie being told by the former president and his supporters is that the results of the election of 2020 can't be trusted. The truth is that no election in American history has been more closely scrutinized or more carefully counted.
True.
Every legal challenge questioning the results in every court in this country that could have been made was made and was rejected.
True.
Often rejected by Republican-appointed judges.
True.
Including judges appointed by the former president himself.
Also
state
true.
Courts to the United States Supreme Court.
True.
Recounts were undertaken in state after state.
True.
Georgia counted its results 3 times.
True.
With 1 recount by hand. Phony partisan audits were undertaken long after the election in several states. None changed the results.
True.
And in some of them, the irony is the margin of victory actually grew slightly.
True.
So let's speak plainly about what happened in 2020. Even before the first ballot was cast, the former president was preemptively sowing doubt about the election results.
True. I actually did a video about it. Absolutely.
Wasn't based on any facts. He was just looking for an excuse, a pretext, to cover for the truth. He's not just a former president. He's a defeated former president. Defeated by a margin of over 7 million of your votes in a full and free and fair election. There is simply zero proof the election results were inaccurate. In fact, in every venue where evidence had to be produced, an oath to tell the truth had to be taken, the former president failed to make his case. Just think about this. The former president and his supporters have never been able to explain how they accept as accurate the other election results that took place on November 3rd. The elections for governor, United States Senate, House of Representatives. Elections which they closed the gap.
It's not, I don't know if it's pre-recorded, but I did speed it up because we were behind schedule. Look, the playback speed is 1.25 because we're behind like a couple of seconds.
Ballot. But the presidential race was flawed? And on the same ballot, the same day, cast by the same voters? The only difference, the former president didn't lose those races. He just lost the one that was his own.
Biden has to know this is just going to stoke
Finally,
the fire.
third big lie
Yeah,
being
but
told
then what
by
are you
the former
supposed to
president's
do?
supporters is that the mob who
Like,
sought to
what do you
impose their
mean
will
stoke
through
the
violence
fire?
are the nation's true patriots. Is that what you thought? When you looked at the mob ransacking the Capitol, destroying property, literally defecating in the hallways,
True.
rifling through the desks of senators and representatives, hunting down members of Congress. Patriots?
Lord, it is across
Not
the
in my
media. I
view.
don't know if that's something that you
To
should
me,
do.
the true patriots were the more than 150 Americans who peacefully expressed their vote at the ballot box. The election workers who protected the integrity of the vote. And the heroes who defended this Capitol. You can't love your country only when you win. You can't obey the law only when it's convenient.
True.
You can't be patriotic when you embrace and enable lies. Those who stormed this Capitol, and those who instigated and incited, and those who called on them to do so, held a dagger at the throat of America, at American democracy. They didn't come here out of patriotism or principle. They came here in rage, not in service of America, but rather in service of one man. Those who incited the mob,
True.
the real plotters who were desperate to deny the certification of this election and defy the will of the voters. But their plot was foiled. Congressmen, Democrats, and Republicans stayed. Senators, representatives, staff, they finished their work the Constitution demanded.
What's really deafening is the silence of the Republican Party.
Foreign and domestic. Look, folks, now it's up to all of us, to we the people, to stand for the rule of law, to preserve the flame of democracy, to keep the promise of America alive. The promise is at risk, targeted by the forces that value brute strength over the sanctity of democracy, fear over hope, personal gain over public good. Make no mistake about it, we're living at an inflection point in history,
True.
both at home and abroad. We're engaged anew in a struggle between democracy and autocracy, between the aspirations of the many and the greed of the few, between the people's right of self-determination and the self-seeking autocrat.
I get that. But we're gonna need a little bit more action behind that statement, though.
These days are numbered. They've actually told me democracy is too slow, too bogged down by division to succeed in today's rapidly changing, complicated world. And they're betting America will become more like them and less like us. They're betting America is a place for the autocrat, the dictator, the strongman. I do not believe that. That is not who we are. That is not who we have ever been. And that is not who we should ever be.
I agree. So let's get to
Our
work.
founding fathers, as imperfect as they were, set in motion an experiment that changed the world, literally changed the world. Here in America, the people would rule. Power would be transferred peacefully, never at the tip of a spear or the barrel of a gun. They committed to paper an idea that they couldn't live up to, but an idea that couldn't be constrained. Yes, in America, all people are created equal. We reject the view that if you succeed, I fail. If you get ahead, I fall behind. If I hold you down, I somehow lift myself up.
Well,
Former president who lies about this election and the mob that attacked this Capitol could not be further away from the core American values. They want to rule or they will ruin. Ruin what our country fought for at Lexington and Concord, at Gettysburg and Omaha Beach, Seneca Falls, Selma, Alabama.
He barely has 20 minutes in him.
What we were fighting for.
Really?
The right to vote. The right to govern ourselves.
So it's about that 20-minute mark.
The right to determine our own destiny. With rights come responsibilities.
True.
Responsibility to see each other as neighbors. Maybe we disagree with that neighbor, but they're not an adversary.
True.
Responsibility to accept defeat. Then get back in the arena and try again the next time to make your case. Responsibility to see that America is an idea. An idea requires vigilant stewardship. As we stand here today, 1 year since January 6, 2021,
it's not a State of the Union.
Drove the anger and madness we saw in this place, they have not abated. So we have to be firm, resolute, and unyielding in our defense of the right to vote.
True.
And to have that vote counted.
True.
Some have already made the ultimate sacrifice in this sacred effort. Jill and I have mourned police officers in this Capitol Rotunda not once but twice in the wake of January 6th. Once to honor Officer Brian Sicknick, who lost his life the day after the attack, and the second time to honor Officer Billy Evans, who lost his life defending this Capitol as well. We think about the others who lost their lives and were injured, and everyone living with the trauma of that day, from those defending this Capitol, to members of Congress in both parties and their staffs, to reporters, cafeteria workers, custodial workers,
True.
and their families. Don't kid yourself. The pain and scars from that day run deep. I've said it many times, and it's no more true or real than we think about the events of January 6th. We are in a battle for the soul of America. A battle that by the grace of God and the goodness and gracious and greatness of this nation, we will win. Believe me, I know how difficult democracy is, and I'm crystal clear about the threats America faces. But I also know that our darkest days can lead to light and hope. From the death and destruction, as the Vice President referenced in Pearl Harbor, came the triumph over the forces of fascism. From the brutality of Bloody Sunday and the Edmund Pettus Bridge came historic voting rights legislation. So now let's step up, write the next chapter in American history, where January 6th marks not the end of democracy, but the beginning of a renaissance of liberty and fair play. I did not seek this fight brought to this Capitol 1 year ago today, but I will not shrink from it either. I will stand in this breach. I will defend this nation.
All right, that's whew. All right, so apart from like the kind of pseudo cringe, apart from the cringe like pseudo American exceptionalism, so far it's been okay. I think that it is true what he's saying in terms of like the severity of the situation, the weight of what happened 1 year ago. I agree that he is correct in the sense of all the facts that he brought out with the when it comes to addressing all the election conspiracies. I think that he is correct in addressing those conspiracies one by one. I think that it's basically exactly what we've been saying in this channel. But I just think that while I agree with him, while I agree that democracy is of the utmost importance. And democracy is probably, despite its flaws, pretty good thing, right? It's a pretty good idea. Despite his speech about how it is not good to have the few rule the many or whatever. He was trying to make the claim he was trying to make the argument of democracy versus autocracy. He has a role to play, though. He has a role to play, right? When you've got behemoths like Amazon, when you've got behemoths like a fossil fuel industry that has captured a whole bunch of our legislature, we've got to address that with some type of action, right? Some type of action. And despite the speech being all beautiful and all the words are good and all that, we've only got a few months, and we've got to see some serious action behind it. Some legitimate attempts to expand democracy, some legitimate attempts to address some of the meaningful problems that even he acknowledges exist, right in this very speech. We've got to do it, man. We've got to do it. No more malarkey. No more malarkey. No more malarkey, Biden. You've only got so much time. American democracy is not one man. Biden is the head, but all the bodies should be attached to keep it alive. Well, yeah, he's more like the face, right? I wouldn't even say the head. I think he's like the face, kind of like the perceived face behind, right? That's what the whole purpose of the president is. But you are correct. It's not just Biden, but people perceive that as it is, right? People perceive it as it is, and I would like to see that the things that he's talking about, I would like to see translate into some type of action. The expansion of democracy is not, is a good thing. Expand voter rights, right? Figure out a way to make this a more democratic system. He won't do a thing? Maybe not. Maybe not. But our job is to continue to, obviously, put pressure, right? That's our job. That is our job. Stop this malarkey. Hey, Hamadan, president can't get nothing done. Biden and the Pelosi's of the world love corporations. Yeah, they also have to reconcile the fact that they need to they can't have it both ways, where massive corporations are undeniably part of the Democratic Party establishment, for lack of a better word. You've got to reconcile with that. You've got to deal with that. You've got to seriously live by the words that you are speaking right now. If you truly believe in democracy and things like that, you should be working to expand it, right? You should be working to expand it. How do you do that? Well, some of these voting right bills, you should be doing consistent work with Congress, with the congressional body, and seeing what you can do, right? And like this idea also that I also like have to push back on the idea that there is a necessity for the Republican Party to emulate the Reagan-Bush, the Reagans and the Bushes of the world, of the past. I highly reject that, and I highly reject the idea that we should be striving to work with them. It's the other way around. They've got to demonstrate that they're the ones that want to work. They've got to drop this nonsense. I don't just link Dems to big business. It goes even deeper than the Republicans. I don't just automatically link every single Dem to big business, but however, it is true. It is true. I mean, just look at Joe Manchin. I don't see the Automod thing. You were streaming it and I was here. Many people, Twitch people were. True. True. Expand democracy by bringing in DC and Puerto Rico, make a voting proper right. True. If Puerto Rico decides to vote to be a state, absolutely, 100%. If they want that, absolutely. DC should have representation, legitimate representation, that's for sure. I agree with that. American politics is the plaything of big business and big money. Even other nations have discovered that. Yeah, to a degree, that is true. That is true. American politics is the plaything of big business. Yeah, and big money, that's across the board. That is true. Hold on, folks. Come on, kitty. There we go. Emerge Montana, Wyoming, hey Dustin, and Dakotas into one state. I don't know if that's going to be possible. Either way, speaking of January 6th, the U.S. Capitol Police, in a special event assessment dated January 3rd of 2021, flagged potential dangers stemming from comments made by Representative Louis Gohmert in the lead-up to January 6th. The assessment obtained by Politico on Wednesday laid out the analyst's view of danger that lawmakers and law enforcement could face during the protests against the certification of Biden's election. It also noted that the White House was actively helping plan a rally on the ellipse on January 6th. I mean, this isn't news, right? This isn't like a news thing. It was listed all over Twitter. Remember before Trump got yeeted off Twitter, he was constantly tweeting about, you know, be there, be wild, come January 6th. Like, he was advertising it. We can also give a province of Alberta to the U.S. No, thank you. Different Native American tribes and U.S. territories could also have a real say in the Senate and Congress without having to be a state. Well, that would be nice. That would be an interesting idea. I feel like there's a kind of notion in the minds of the select few on the left that all change the flows from the pocket of the oligarch and that nothing can be passed to the billionaires or against, and I totally dislike that notion. I don't think that that's always the case, though. Homonyms. I don't think that that's always the case. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Remember when Trump allowed a huge tax cut for business and helped Trump get elected in 2016? Well, there was a lot of factors to him being elected in 2016. However, yes, you are correct. Trump allowed a huge tax cut for business that are still in place from what I understand. That are still in place from what I understand, which could be taken away by the current Democratic administration, right? The January 3rd assessment noted that Gohmert had sued to try to get then Vice President Mike Pence to overturn the election results. The assessment added that a federal judge had thrown out Gohmert's suit. From that intelligence report, in an interview Friday evening on pro-Trump news network Newsmax, Representative Gohmert claimed that letting the will of the voters stand would mean the end of our republic, the end of the experiment in self-government. The assessment reads, Representative Gohmert then seemed to encourage violence as a means to this end, but the bottom line is the court is saying we're not going to touch this, you have no remedy, basically, in effect ruling out that, the ruling would be that you gotta go to the street and be as violent as Antifa and BLM. Wow, nice. If that isn't like the classic, definition of stochastic terrorism. I feel like there's this kind of notion in the right that freedoms given to corporations will trickle down to citizens, and the amount of regulations on corporations is an impediment of citizen freedoms. In other words, Republicans fight for corporations. I'm not exactly opposed to that. G-Wade, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Is this a transcript? Kind of. Hey, Thindera, how's it going? His response, Gohmert released a statement saying that he had not encouraged and unequivocally does not advocate for violence. Yeah, okay. The department's interest in politicians and protests wasn't limited to Gohmert. Later in the same report, it was discussed that plans for a major rally in the Ellipse, and noted the White House is actively participating in the planning of this event. The January 3rd document also said that Trump's supported sense of desperation and disappointment may lead to more of an incentive to become violent, as previously reported by the Washington Post. I mean, yeah, if you continue to push this idea that the election was stolen, you've got to protect your country, you've got to fight for your country, save America, save America rallies, you're continuously perpetuating a lie that has no basis in reality, and you continue to repeat it, and you tell people that this is the only option because the courts, everything is rigged. The election is rigged. Even some Republicans are against you. Everything is rigged. There's no recourse. What do you think people are going to come to the natural what natural conclusion are people going to arrive at? Yeah. They did nothing to stop the riot. Exactly. Is it getting spicy? This January 6th thing is, the more that this investigation goes on, the more spicy it gets. A lie that you're perpetuating months before the election, by the way. That's also true. Like I said, we did a video about it. Where Donald Trump was priming the pump months before the election, right? Months before the election. We even have him on video saying that, there's no way he could lose, and that if it happens to be that he loses, it's because it's rigged. Like, this whole idea has been a work in progress even before the election happened. You're absolutely correct. On January 6th, some of the participants in the Ellipse rally marched to the Capitol building where a violent mob formed. Gohmert, facing criticism for his remarks at the time, released a statement saying that he had not encouraged and unequivocally does not advocate for violence. Yeah, okie dokie. I have long advocated for the following and the teachings of example Dr. Martin Luther King of peaceful protest does not keep me from recognizing what lies ahead when institutions created by self-governing people to peacefully resolve disputes hide from their responsibility. What? Violence is not the answer. The appropriate answer is courts and the self-governing body resolve disputes as intended. Okay, they did. That's the problem we're having. They did. That's the problem. They did. People had a right to go through the proper channels to present their side of the evidence of their what turned out to be a massive nonsensical conspiracy theories. They had the absolute option, and they did. And several times through 60 plus cases, through audit after audit after audit, manual recounts, all disputes were taken into consideration. It's not like you were ignored, okay? You were just lied to. I didn't say that? Yeah, alright, folks. No friendly fire. Gerrymandering is wrong and voter restrictions are wrong. True. Makes me want all the states to have auto registration and mail-in ballots as by default, but I guess my definition of rigged isn't the same as Republicans. Yeah, you're correct. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with the idea of, like, making a system where, like, all eligible citizens after the age of 18 or whenever, I think it's 18, using, like, databases that we already have, like, for Social Security, and just auto-register, and that's it. You're done. You're done. Waro Fav, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Just bypass all this gerrymandering shit and have proportional representation. Well, I would agree with you. Certainly it would be a more democratic way of outgoing things, yeah. I can't understand gerrymandering. Canada electoral districts are tied to population and drawn by independent commissions. The US are such electoral mess. True. In Oregon, auto registration is done when you get your license or ID card. There you go. Boom. Easy. But yes, you're correct. Useful idiot. It should be like maps that are drawn should be done by a completely independent or separate commission. All right, Kitty. Ow, 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 ow. That's enough. Gomert spokesperson AJ Swinson said Wednesday that the Capitol Police Intelligence Report took his remarks out of context. Really? So now, really? Therefore, such an out-of-context statement promotes fake news, injustice, and fails to note his ongoing advocacy as a former judge and appellate court chief justice. The institutions created to resolve dispute must have the courage to resolve disputes they were created to resolve so our system can function peacefully. It did. Okay? You just didn't like the results. Okay? The institutions created to resolve these type of disputes did what they were intended to do. Okay? You just didn't like what they found. Okay? You just didn't like the fact that the audits didn't go your way. You just didn't like the fact that the myriad of frivolous, I should say, lawsuits didn't go your way. And, yeah, stay mad. Stay mad. Stay mad. Alright, folks. Meme article of the day. Let's see if we can have ourselves a little laugh. Do we have any idea how much these frivolous lawsuits cost the US? Millions of dollars at the very least? Probably. Probably. But, like, you can't complain that there wasn't any type of recourse or any type of institution, that didn't do its job when they did, okay? They did. Louis Gohmart's problem and the Republican Party's problem is that it didn't go the way they wanted it to, okay? That's it. That's the issue. A Harvard-trained economist shares his top 21 money rules. Own your own home and try to buy in cash. Alright. Hit us up. Top. Super smart. Super smart Harvard economist. Hit me up. Don't borrow for college. Oh, nice! So just pay it out of pocket? It's far too risky and expensive. I don't say this lightly. I'm a college professor, but you can't get a fine education without mortgaging your future and potentially dashing your career plans. It simply involves pursuing scholarships. Oh yeah, they just fall out of the sky and applying to less expensive, if generally less prestigious institutions. If your parents are borrowing for your tuition, discuss who will repay. And consider whether they're blowing your inheritance or sacrificing their welfare by helping you attend an unaffordable college. So step 1, have parents that have enough money to borrow for your tuition, and maybe even ask them if they're the ones that are going to pay it or you are going to pay it, and ask them if they're sacrificing any type of inheritance, which obviously the presumption is that they have wealth. They have wealth to even pass down as inheritance. So yeah, step 1, have parents. Step 2, have middle to high to upper class parents. Gotcha. Hey guys, just be born rich, or be born wealthy enough. At least wealthy enough for your parents to A, even have an inheritance to leave you, or B, borrow for your tuition. Just have them pay it. This is all very, 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 very feasible and very big-brained solutions. Yeah, and certainly don't go to a trade or college. It's too expensive. Work at Walmart instead. Strive to own your home, not rent it, and try to buy in cash. Hey guys, just show up with a bag of cash, and just plop it down to the bank, because they totally do that, by the way. Just plop it down in front of them and say, I want that house. Man, just buy your own home. Hey guys, just buy your own home in the United States. Can we get a quick stat here? Guys, listen. I'm a Harvard economist, okay? It's very simple, guys. It's just so simple, guys. Just have roughly about 284, 295, 293, just about. You can just kind of get the idea. Median price of the home in the US is $374,000 as of the second quarter of 2021. Guys, just have this in cash. Yeah, that's it. It's so easy. It's so easy. Guys, it's so easy. It's so easy. So, step 1, choose your parents. Step 2, magically have about 374,000. All right, any more big-brained ideas? All right, hit me up, Harvard economist. Mortgage are tax and financial losers. Pay them off ASAP. Again, just have money. Wow. Just have money. Just pay off your mortgage and like just Thanos snap your mortgage away. Very easy. Very, very easy. I don't understand why people can't just do this. I can't, I just don't understand. Guys, it's so easy. All you have to do is just pay off your mortgage as soon as possible. Just have 100,000 that you can invest right now. Just make it appear, guys. It's just so easy. Here's a better reason to own, it's better to own than rent. Let's say you're 70. Yeah, okay, just own a home. Yeah, step number 5, own a home. Okay. Take a small $1 million loan from your parents and you don't just pocket the change. Yeah, it's just that easy, Pat Rat. It's just that easy. Just have a huge hockey bag filled with $350K, and next rule, how to fill that bag and become a drug dealer. My parents were poor emerald mine owners and I did okay. Yeah, that's basically, we're getting that type of vibes over here. No way, my mortgage is 3%. I made 20% investing that cash last year. Yeah. Poor people are just lazy. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if we get down to 21 and just say the big high resolution tip, money tip, would be don't be poor. Okay, so here we go. Just more, like, this is all useless. This is all redundant. Just move, forehead. Hey guys, look. I know that you can't just have $300,000 or whatever the median price cost is. Just move, okay? It's that simple. Just pack up, grab all your stuff. That totally doesn't cost thousands and thousands of dollars to pack up all your shit and just move. Because, of course, your perfect home may be several time zones away. You just gotta pack it up. Forget about family, forget about friends, forget about your job. Just it'll all work out if you just pack up and leave. Yeah, there you go. Just leave. I'll tell you what I did to get that cash. My dad killed by his job because he had asbestos-related cancer. My family soon got money that I'll use for cash on the house. Without him dying, I could never afford a house. So rule number 12, get your daddy's job to kill him. Yeah. Wow. That's, yikes. Rule number 7, choose jobs that everyone but you hates. All else being equal, skills, education, experience, people with unpleasant, nerve-wracking, insecure, disturbing, or financially risky jobs get paid more. With people with the same skills working jobs with none of the drawbacks. So, yeah, so just, live life on the edge, folks. Unbelievable. Economists call the extra pay a compensating differential. The key to taking advantage is to find something that you love and ideally others don't. Wait, but if other people don't love it, there's a reason for that, right? Just be miserable. Gotcha. How can you not shop around when there's so many options? Right. There's so many options, folks. There's so many options. Look, I'll give you all the options. I can work for $9 an hour at McDonald's. Here's my other option. I can work at Walmart for also $9 an hour. I can work as a cashier in the local store here for $9 an hour. I could also work as a Starbucks barista for about the same, depending on which one. So many options. Hey, big dangly things, how's it going? Shipping industry is also desperate for more truck drivers. No, they still won't pay you for spending all day waiting to picking up a shipping container. Yeah, you get shafted. Alright, any more high resolution takes? Consider working. Oh, guys. Sorry. Damn, I didn't think about this. Wow. Guys. I didn't think about this. Sorry. It's just my low resolution brain just can't handle this right now. Start a business. Start a business. It just magically happens. A cab except for Kamala Harris. Thank you for the follow. 9 out of 10 businesses fail after a few years. Yeah, starting a business truly works. No. Here's his high resolution take. You got to start the right business. You got to start the 10th business. Jesus Christ. Hey, Kal-El. Number 1, be born rich. True. Number 2, negate all your mental health. Number 3. What was the other one? Just buy your home. Just buy it. It's so easy. Just buy your house. Just buy your house and addendum, buy your house in cash, right? So these are very high resolution ideas right here going on. Harvard economist, by the way. Consider working for yourself. If you start the right business right away, it will raise your remaining future earnings and provide unmatched job security. If that sounds too risky, brainstorm ways to turn a hobby and interest into a side hustle. Yeah, just, look. It's so easy. Just start a business. Just make sure that you, by the way, magically produce the capital to lift it off the ground, and just make it work. Just win. Just win. That's it. That's it. It's so easy. You can get fired for nothing at a minimum wage job but lose everything, but why is it impossible for anyone in Congress to get expelled? That's a good question. Yeah, just start your own Amazon, guys. Start the right business. Start your own Amazon. It's just that easy. Guys, in a vacuum, where bills don't exist, where cost of living doesn't exist, yeah, just start a business. Just start a business and then just make it. And you snap your fingers and it works. Look at that. Yeah, if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. You keep thinking about tomorrow. Are you in the best possible career for the rest of your working days? Should you make a switch? Is your current job in danger? Set a date every few months to do a career review with a spouse, partner, or friend. Yeah, just get a better job, forehead. I mean, while that is true, you'd have to have better jobs to provide in the first place. Just don't be poor. What? Oh, yeah. So, number 12, get married. Number 13, count on getting divorced. None of this makes sense, coherent dreams. That's my point. Guys, get married, but then also count on getting divorced. All lifestyle. Make sure that you have like no avocado toast. Work till you're 70. Work till you can't anymore, till your little till your feeble bones can't work no more. Retiring early is a financial suicide. You have to work. Guys, it's just so easy. Work till you die. Oh, and the big brain, the big high resolution tip, okay? The big high resolution tip. Gamble. Make sure that you have enough capital to gamble into the stock market. Just keep gambling. Just magically have enough capital to sustain yourself to keep playing the casino, the stock market casino. And yeah. That's right. This is all you have to do, guys. This is coming from a high-resolution, Harvard-trained economist, guys. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's so easy. It's so easy. Everybody can do it. Everybody has plenty of capital. Magically, by the way. Plenty of capital to spend and throw into the void in the stock market and hope you win the casino. Everybody has enough capital to just buy their own home, preferably in cash, like he said. Preferably in cash, because we all have that, right? We just also need to make sure that just don't get in debt, less avocado toast, work till you die. I mean, it's so easy. I wonder what the average income of a Harvard graduate, high six figures, I'm guessing. It just depends. Money magic. Yeah, it is magic. Certainly. Certainly, because it's just magically, apparently, in his world, in his world, everybody that's reading that book just has money, or was born to the right family, so that all this could work. Yeah, just get a Russian friend to loan you money through Deutsche Bank to buy your house. Yeah. It's just that simple, Dustin. Just that simple. I bet there could be a better step-by-step written by a working class person, but they're too busy working their asses off. Yeah, I mean, like, there are legitimate, like, advice that's much better, much more grounded in reality, than this nonsense. I just thought it was hilarious, and just to illustrate the level of out of touch, that this person has. The author teaches at the Boston University. The average salary there is $140K. Yeah, just magically have a salary that's $140K. Ow, stop it. Shoo. Do you have all the vaccine doses? I have 2 so far. Booster is coming up. I'm not sure what your condition is, but I I'm not a doctor, so just discuss that with your doctor. Up to date is a better term now? What does that mean? Then why are you going to a Twitch streamer? for medical advice? I wonder if you can get a booster while you have COVID. I think, well, you shouldn't be going out, right? And you shouldn't be going out if you're currently experiencing COVID. If you have the ability to you know, stay isolated, then you should. And to be fair, they always have a mild disclaimer if things are complicated. So if anything in this magic list doesn't work out, it's complicated. My sister has COVID, but they still approved the booster for her age. Yeah. Meaning that you can take the booster. I'm saying that obviously while you have COVID, you know, you should stay home. I seriously doubt that I do know more than an MD. Sorry. When I went for the booster, I got half a Moderna. Yeah. The boosters are a slightly smaller dosage. That is true. I haven't left. I have 1 more day of quarantine. There you go. Then afterwards, then yeah, you can. There's nothing that says that you cannot. After, even if you have COVID, in that case, you'll have like super immunity. If you have a breakthrough case and you've got the vaccine plus booster, you got super immunity. You're good. At least the immunity, from what I understand, from a vaccine plus a hybrid kind of deal, is certainly more robust, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so, put a mask on for at least 5 days. If you left quarantine early, you should be wearing a mask, although I'm kind of skeptical about that advice, to be quite frank, because a lot of people, aren't... A lot of people aren't smart, and some people may take that CDC recommendation to think that they can just leave quarantine early, when that's not really the case. They're saying COVID after 2 doses gives you better immunity than a booster, so if you get both COVID and the booster, you're well protected in the future. True. If I test tomorrow, if I test negative, it's been 9 days. Alright, yeah, that works. I wear 2 masks all the time, regardless, I can barely breathe driving behind the cars. Well, that's how I know you're lying. Because either you have a more serious underlying condition, you should probably speak to your doctor. you'd be wrong, because unless you have an underlying serious condition, there is zero reduction in oxygen. You could have 10,000 masks on, and your oxygen levels would be the same. So 2 masks do not decrease your oxygen levels, period. So you're just lying, or you have an underlying condition that you should probably speak to your doctor about. It sounds like they're having a panic attack. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Underlying condition. Yeah, it could be. 2 masks because the outdoors is gross? Well, I don't disagree. Anyways, we're not going to debate reality here. Yeah, so, a Harvard-trained economist, big brain, high resolution, just own your own home, forehead. Yeah, it's just that simple, guys. Harvard-trained economist tells people that they can just own... yeah, all you have to do for financial advice is to own your own home. Caveat, make sure that you're born into the right family. Caveat, work till you die. Caveat, make sure that you shaft your partner in marriage with a prenup. I mean, Jesus Christ. Come on, kitty. Come on. Yeah, oh yeah, and buy it cash, by the way. And buy it cash, buy it cash, by the way. The inequality is ridiculous. True. This company just decided to give employees a 4-day work week permanently. Nice. A 4-day work week is now permanent for employees of tech unicorn Bolt. The San Francisco-based e-commerce developer piloted the program last fall, and the results were overwhelmingly positive. I couldn't imagine running a company any other way. Productivity has increased, work has been streamlined, employees are happy. A survey taken at the end of the 3-month trial period found that 94% of workers, 91% of managers wanted the program to continue. In addition, 84% of employees said they have been more productive, 86% have said they're more efficient with their time, 84% saw an improvement in their work-life balance, which is huge. Huge. The idea is not necessary to take on more work hours, but to work more efficiently. During the hours, employees are laser focused. A lot of companies operate with a lot of work theater, which is people caring more about the appearance of working than actual work. True. 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 So you have countless meetings, countless documents, countless presentations. It's possible to sift through all the noise to get to the heart of the matter. True. Bolt, which has 550 full-time employees, is one of a handful of companies in the US that has moved to a shortened work week. Proponents are hoping the idea will catch on, especially during a time when attracting and retaining workers is a high priority. Yeah. That's right, a useful idiot. But in this guy's eyes, in our very high resolution Harvard economists, you should just have that. It should just appear magically. Or just not be poor. Simple as that. Proponents are hoping the idea will catch on, especially during a time where attracting workers is a high priority. Millions of people have to quit their jobs in the Great Resignation over the past months, with a record of 4.5 million doing so in November alone. And experts expect the trend to continue. Good. Companies we have helped to make this transition to a 4-day week have reported it significantly expanded their pool of potential recruitment candidates. Yeah, yeah. No kidding. No kidding. So far, 30 companies in the US and Canada have signed up for the 6-month coordinated trials this year, which focuses on fewer work hours for the same pay. That's key. Pilot programs will also be launched in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. The 4-day week challenge is the current model of work and help companies move away from simply measuring how long people are at work to a sharper focus on the output being produced. There's even legislation in Congress that reduces the standard work week, stop it, to 32 from 40. No further action has been taken since the bill was introduced in July. To be clear, the 4-day work week won't work for every company or business model. It also has to be implemented properly with a hard look at the workflow and number of meetings on the calendars. What? They could make a lot of money in a scam just telling us how to magically make money. True. Have they slashed salaries? No, it's the same pay. It should act as an entry point to a focused, empowered business conversation about how to work smarter and more efficiently. Even Bolt made some adjustments long before it finalized its permanent schedule. This wasn't the easiest operational lift. It definitely took some work, yet O'Connor's hopeful that the slow momentum toward the shortened work week will continue. 2022 will be the year that heralds this bold new future for work. I hope so. Certainly a good a step in the right direction, and I totally support the idea of reducing the work week. I mean, there's no legitimate reason why not to. Makita the cat is very interested on what's happening on screen right now. My job proposes 9 work days for 2 weeks, but I'd have to work 9 to 10 hours per day. Pure garbage. Yeah, then it's not really changing anything, is it? It will not be a standard work week, but a rotating work week. Every second week will be a weekend. No, I don't know. It depends on how you do it. Alright, kitty. This will not benefit the workers. Wrong. Every single study and every single case, individual case study, has been the exact opposite. You're just literally wrong. You can see this across the board in test pilots in other countries. You can see this test pilot wildly successful here. Look at this. Wildly popular, wildly effective. You're literally just wrong. A Texas team comes up with a COVID vaccine that could be a global game changer. Nice. A vaccine authorized in December for use in India may help solve some of the post-vaccine problems in global public health. How to supply lower-income countries with a COVID vaccine that is safe, effective, and affordable. This vaccine is called Corpovax. It uses old but proven vaccine technology and can be manufactured far more easily than most, if not all, the COVID vaccines in use today. Corpovax is a game changer, said Dr. Keith Martin, Executive Director of the Consortium of University of Global Health in Washington, D.C. It is going to enable countries around the world, particularly low-income countries, to be able to produce these vaccines and distribute them in a way that's going to be affordable, effective, and safe. The story of Corpovax begins some 2 decades ago. Peter Hotez and Maria Elena Bottazzi were medical researchers at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., where they worked on vaccines and treatments for what's called the neglected tropical diseases, such as schistosomiasis and hookworm. How about that one? – Alright, here's a simple question. Do you have sources to indicate the otherwise? Okay? Do you have sources to back up your claim? If not, why should we even care what you have to say? When a strain of coronavirus known as SARS broke out in 2003, they decided to tackle that disease. After moving to Houston to affiliate with Baylor College of Medicine and Texas Children's Center for Vaccine Development, they created a vaccine candidate using a protein subunit technology. This involves using proteins from a virus or bacterium that can induce an immune response but not cause the disease. It is the same technology as the hepatitis B vaccine that's been around for decades. Their SARS vaccine candidate looks promising, but then the SARS outbreak petered out, no evidence of disease, no need for a vaccine. When the new strain of the coronavirus triggered the COVID-19 pandemic, Hotez and Bottazi figured they could dust off their old technology and modify it for it to be used against COVID-19. After all, the virus causing the COVID-19 and the virus causing the SARS are quite similar. Hotez said they tried to interest government officials in the vaccine, but they weren't impressed. 50 years of corporate BS. So you're gonna need to present. Evidence, or you're just some random on Twitch. You're random Twitch chatter. Don't really care what you have to say. Unless you can back it up with data, don't really care what you have to say. People were so fixated on the innovation that nobody thought, hey, maybe we could use a low-cost, durable, easy-breezy vaccine that can vaccinate the whole world. We really honestly couldn't get any traction in the US, but our mission is always to enable technologies for low and middle income countries in production and use. Nice meme. What does this have to do with anything? Can you focus? Is your back okay? Carrying and pivoting? Like, no one should pivot that hard. Okay, that's just not healthy. That's just not healthy. Okay? Explain to me how the article that I was talking about, which has been proven not just in this company, but across the board, about reducing the work week, reducing hours to 32 instead of 40 with the same pay, is bad for workers. Okay? Otherwise, I have no reason to care for what you have to say. But our mission was always to enable technology for low-middle income countries to produce and use, so they turned to private philanthropies. A major donor early was the JPB Foundation in New York. The rest was Texas philanthropies. The Kleberg Foundation, Dunn Foundation, Tito's Vodka, the MD Anderson Foundation also chipped in. When people say, why did we move from Washington, D.C. to Texas? Well, we knew that this was a great philanthropic environment, so this is really much a very Texas vaccine, although there were other smaller donors from across the country. Hotez said that unlike the mRNA vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna, the viral vector from the vaccine of Johnson & Johnson, protein subunit vaccines are like Corpovax have a track record, so he and Bottazi were relatively certain that Corpovax would be safe and effective. It's cheap, $1.50 a dose. You're not going to get less expensive than that. So you have no evidence. Cool. You have no evidence to present. Next. Clinical trials showed that they were right to be confident in Corpovax, that the Corpovax vaccine would work. An unpublished study conducted in India involving 3,000 volunteers found the vaccine to be 90% effective in preventing the disease caused by the original COVID virus strain and 80% against the Delta variant. It's still being tested against Omicron. Nice. Is in lower work weeks implemented in several other countries. There have been several test pilots across the world. If it's as if Big Pharma saw an opportunity for the government to pay their R&D and more expensive vaccines, yeah, that's completely plausible here. Especially if we knew that there was other technologies. Yeah, sure, that's a plausible scenario. It wouldn't be the first time either. But hey, the good news is that we have yet another cheap, effective tool to use against COVID. Whatever, sheeples. I don't understand folks wasting their time this way. Go play a video game or something. Yeah, they just have nothing better to do. But Corpovax is already entering the real world. Last month, the vaccine received emergency use authorization from regulators in India. An Indian vaccine manufacturer called Biological ELTD is now making the vaccine. The company says it's producing 100 million doses per month and has already sold 300 million doses to the Indian government. The real beauty of the Corpovax vaccine, said that Dr. Hotez and Botazi created is that the intellectual property of this vaccine will be available to everybody. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. So you can get manufacturers in Senegal, South Africa, Latin America to be able to produce this particular vaccine. By contrast, the makers of the Pfizer and Moderna, for example, are not sharing the recipe. Open source like insulin? True. What? You donated $1 just to say that? Hey, I'll take your $1 any day. You want to donate another one? If it were like cookie recipes, it's fine, but these are life-saving? Yeah, absolutely. Not gonna lie, I don't know if this is like English. I mean, I guess it's words. And not gonna lie, you a bitch. Also, ratio. Wow. Wow. I mean, those were words. They certainly were words. Would you like to tip another $1? Yeah, somebody donated $1 with that message. Spread it forward. Sir, this is a Wendy's? This is a Wendy's? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, spread it forward. It happens. One drawback to the Corpovax technology is that it can't be modified as quickly as the mRNA to adjust to new variants. That forces public health officials to make difficult choices, something which can be adapted fast versus something that can be adapted relatively quickly, but then more importantly, can be manufactured at global capacity at a cost production which is much lower. Gives and takes. I think this is good news. I think this is great. I think that all the COVID vaccines should have been completely completely open intellectual property. This probably would have been beneficial to everybody. So yeah, I would have been in favor of that. But you know, those dang profits, money stuff. What's up with Captain Corporate Stooge telling us we need to work 5 days a week and use tobacco? Yeah, no, I think he was trying to make a meme, or a meme about how, like, oh yeah, you sheeple. There was one time where corporations told you tobacco is good. If the U.S. had any morals, they would use the War Production Act to force Pfizer and Moderna to stop milking us, but they won't. Yeah, the vaccine patents are borderline genocidal. I think that, like, honestly, there's no real good reason in this type of situation. Like, out of all the situations, right, you choose this one to be, like, super stingy about, like, vaccines. Yeah, spread it forward. He was making, like, the fallacious logic of, hey, companies have been very bad before, therefore, why should you trust anything that the companies say? But it's true, that part is true, but then you make the leap in logic by then applying that to saying, well, somehow this particular scenario, which has nothing to do with the company itself, and has been proven in other areas of reducing the work week, is better for the workers. It improves the work-life balance. It improves their mental health. It improves production. It improves profit. Even all of these things were independent of that. They're independent of that. Four-week studies are not made by corporation, by researchers in universities. Right. Yeah, so he's making that conflation, or that leap in logic, I should say. Anyways. There is no issue with pushing for innovation. I think that's one of the real positive features of the U.S. vaccination program for COVID. The problem is it wasn't balanced with the portfolio or oldies but goodies. HOTES is hoping his oldie but goodie will usher in a bright future for the world. Well, that's a hopeful statement, but it is good news that by luck we have yet another weapon to use, another tool in the box to use, and this one without any IP problems. It's just going to be open source effectively, and hopefully this will be out to the folks that need it. Here's a cool story. ExxonMobil makes more oil discoveries in Guyana. Guyana? Hey, that's really cool. The Guyana government today welcomed the announcement by the US-based oil and energy giant ExxonMobil. That it made 2 oil discoveries in the Starbrook block offshore Guyana, adding to the previously announced recoverable resource estimate for the block of 10 billion equivalent oil barrels. Nice. That's totally what we need right now. Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat said that the government remains confident that these 2 additional discoveries, which will add 20 commercial feasible finds, will further strengthen Guyana's position as a country with world-class discoveries of high-quality hydrocarbon. Okie dokie. At the small price, just a very small price of the continuation of the destruction of the planet. You know, me and my family are in favor of the jobs the comet will produce. Is what we're seeing here. Me and my government officials are in favor of the jobs that the comet will produce. Therefore, the government will continue engaging all stakeholders towards exponential development of these resources for all Guyanese while maintaining a social and economic and environmental balance. Press X to doubt? Press X to doubt? Like the, environmental balance that has happened time after time after time, off the coast of California. The environmental balance that has happened during the Keystone Pipeline, the environmental balance that has happened in the oceans when these things fail. That environmental balance. The fact that you're continuing, instead of diverting all of this effort into renewable energy, you are instead continuously diverting it to the very thing that we need to reduce and eliminate. Exxon discovers democracy. That balance is quite skewed. Yeah, it's non-existent. They don't care. This is like borderline corpo speak. ExxonMobil could have written this. In addition to the government of Guyana is continuously examining the possibilities to strengthen oversight and management of the exploration program and all operators to further expand the sector through commercial discoveries. Yeah, press X to doubt. Me and my administration are in favor for the jobs that the comet will provide. Unreal. Unreal. Democrats tabled Biden's crisis plan, despite 40% of Americans suffering disasters like fire and flood in 2021. Right now we have both hell and high water. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Acting on the climate crisis becomes more urgent each day, true. And the largest investment in President Joe Biden's Build Back Better agenda, which Senate Democrats just put on the back burner, would have gone towards combating the climate crisis, maybe. New data from the Washington Post highlighted how badly the country needs that investment. On Wednesday, the Post released an analysis that found more than 4 in 10 Americans lived in a county that experienced an extreme weather event last year, and more than 80% of Americans were subjected to a heat wave. Using data from FEMA, the Post found 820 counties in the country were hit with fire, floods, hurricanes, landslides, and severe storms, and at least 656 people died due to those disasters. Yeah, I mean, this data follows a harrowing report released by the UN in August, which said that some of the global warming effects would be irreversible for centuries to millennia. While Biden and Democratic lawmakers have frequently expressed the urgency in passing bills to invest in the climate crisis, Insider reported on Tuesday that Senate Democrats are pushing Build Back Better aside for now in favor of passing voter rights legislation. Congress did pass the $1.8 trillion in infrastructure bill in November, with $50 billion to support communities devastated by natural disaster, but the social spending package would go significantly further. Okay. Biden's $1.7 trillion proposal unveiled in October as part of his economic agenda contained $555 billion investments to combat climate change and meet goals to reduce carbon emissions. At the time, lawmakers like Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders lauded the investment as the most significant piece of legislation passed in the world to deal with climate, and Democrats had high hopes to pass that legislation before the end of 2021. And then, hold on folks, give me 1 second. And then President Joe Manchin happened. The fiscally responsible Joe Manchin had zero problems approving the huge Pentagon budget increase. What a total douche and hypocrite. True. But then, President Joe Manchin, a conservative holdout on the agenda, dashed those hopes in December when he said he could not support the bill in its current state, citing concerns with inflation and specific provisions within the bill, like helping working families. While President Manchin told reporters that he had had no conversation with the White House on the BBB, he did indicate the potential for some progress on climate action. And by support, he means to make sure that you eliminate any provision that would dare touch the beautiful profits of any of his beholden donors or special interests such as ExxonMobil. But Manchin told reporters that he had no conversation with the White House on the BBB. He did indicate for potential for some progress on climate action. The climate thing is one that we can probably come to an agreement much easier than anything else. Yeah, I don't know. You also said you were coming into negotiations with good faith. But all you've done is extract concessions and concessions and concessions without you giving any. Well, yeah, because it's a misnomer. He's not a centrist. By any means. By any means of the stretch of the imagination. That's why I did that. It's still unclear when an agreement on the climate or the BBB as a whole will come to fruition. Some lawmakers said on Tuesday that given the severe climate events that hit the U.S. over the past years, the legislation cannot wait. True. President Manchin supports climate and clean energy. I don't think so. Senator Ed Markey wrote on Twitter, I support climate and clean energy. We are in agreement on addressing the greatest crisis and economic opportunity our world has ever known. Let's get it done and pass these provisions in the BBB now. On a virtual call hosted by Climate Power and League of Conservation Voters, Hawaii Senator Breon Schatz echoed that sentiment. We're going to get this done come hell or high water because right now we have both hell and high water. Well, we'll see. I'm not holding my breath. But we'll see. We'll see. You've got a couple months to make this happen. You've got a couple months to make it happen. Separate climate bill not being seriously considered in the Senate despite Manchin's support of the measures. Okay. Senate climate hawks. What? What kind of framing is that? Senate climate hawks got a new shot of optimism this week as President Joe Manchin gave perhaps his most full-throated endorsement yet of the climate change and clean energy portions of the BBB, Biden's economic and social safety net bill. I think the climate thing is one we can come to an agreement on much easier than anything else. Biden said he wouldn't support the full package mainly because of the issue with helping working class people. Last month, he reaffirmed his position on Wednesday, saying his opinion on the legislation has not changed. His endorsement on the climate provision served as a glimmer of hope that Biden's climate agenda could be passed sooner rather than later. Let's get it done and pass these provisions in the BBB. Despite the swing vote support, there's no real push yet among Senate Democrats or outside advocates to pull the approximately $550 billion worth of climate change and clean energy provisions out of the BBB and attempt to pass it as a standalone bill. Doing so could jeopardize the rest of the President Joe Biden's sprawling legislative agenda lawmakers and advocates told CNN, which is still being negotiated. No, I don't think so, said Democratic Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota, when asked if the Democrats would pursue a standalone climate bill if we have to find a package that can get 50 votes, and I think that's the path we're on right now. Yeah, there's no other way. Absolutely, there's no other way. There's no other way. There's no help from Republicans. We should nuke the climate. We already did. I'm guessing that you say that because the Democrats will lose the Senate in the midterms. I suspect that they will. With no clear voting timetable set on the BBB and Democratic leadership tackling voter rights legislation in the coming weeks, Smith said that she thinks the final negotiations need to happen soon. In the world of this U.S. Senate, I hate to commit to specific times, but this process of trying to come to final agreements on the BBB cannot be months long. It needs to be a week-long process. If that's not a path you can plow down for months and months. Well, yeah, because it's untenable. This strategy is untenable. Not a good idea. Manchin's Tuesday comments validated something senators, Senate staff, and climate advocates have been saying for weeks. They believe the funding, most of which would compose of clean energy and electric vehicle tax, is on solid ground when it comes to West Virginia senator. It's probably not about doing climate standalone, but it's promising. It's a notable thing Manchin made these remarks. It fits our perception of what we understood privately with all this mess. With BBB, the climate stuff is not on the holdup. And the gaps are really bridgeable. Manchin has been publicly and privately supportive of the clean energy tax credits that make up the largest portion of the climate provisions, save for a disagreement on boosting electrical vehicle tax credits from $7,500 to $12,500 for union-made vehicles. Why, is he against the working class or something? Senate Environment and Public Works Committee Chair Tom Carper has also negotiated with Manchin for weeks on a proposed methane fee, which would be levied on oil and gas producers leaking planet-warming methane above a certain threshold. Yeah, but we need to expand our ability to put ourselves on renewable energy in as many ways as quickly as possible, in as many ways as possible now. That's where all this effort needs to be done. That's where all this effort needs to be focused on. Senate Democrats are united in recognizing the urgent need to get significant climate legislation done. I'm optimistic that we can get the votes to pass the BBB with robust climate provisions included. Senator Brian Schatz of Hawaii also told reporters on Tuesday there's no immediate urgency to get the BBB passed by the end of the month. We'll get this done as soon as we have the votes. If that's tomorrow morning, then that's when we'll do it. If it's February 7th, that's when we'll do it. If it's after the midterms when we won't be able to do it, then what? With little appetite to pass this climate provision separately could remain an option for negotiations to continue to drag on into next month or early spring in order to pass the BBB with their 50-vote majority. Democrats relying on a procedural known as the budget reconciliation, with Biden's legislative agenda already slimmed down significantly. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. There's anxiety about cutting it even more. Time is not necessarily our friend here. True. While the Senate takes up voting rights over the next few weeks, Smith said she hopes that there will continue to be conversations between the White House and President Manchin on the BBB. Manchin told reporters that he's open to talking to Biden about the bill, but no such conversation has been scheduled. Okay. Other Democratic failure is not an option. True. True. Other Democratic senators voiced their frustration that the chamber has not yet taken up the climate legislation as extreme weather and wildfires fueled by dry conditions have continued into the winter. Colorado Senator John Hickenlooper spoke about the recent devastation near Boulder, Colorado after wildfire burned down subdivisions charring over 6,000 acres. It is ridiculous that we're still willing to avoid what's scientific truth and turn away and subject cities and towns across the country, people, to the same agony the Marshall Fire has caused. Yeah, so, maybe if the radioactive tornado will gain sentience, we can reason with it. True. to all the grossly incompetent members of Congress, Senate, even the presidential administration. The time for action has long passed. The time for action has long passed. And it is unbelievable that we find ourselves in the position in 2022 with all the latest technology, all the latest data compiled by tens of thousands of climate scientists, people from all different backgrounds and countries, dedicated an untold amount of time, effort to produce the culmination, the consensus of all of this data, just to say, hey, this is a massive problem, not just for us, but for everybody. There was a concerted effort for an international community. Everybody is going to be affected. And we're still having debates about this? And we're still having debates about whether or not we need to wait? About whether or not how much money we need to divert? This is unreal. This is unbelievable. Thank you for the follow. Stop driving your cars. Quit talking and do something. Hey, just snap your fingers, and you, the individual, alone, are going to solve this climate crisis. What a bad faith argument. What a bad faith comment on that. You should be asking what system and how we got to the point where we are, and address that. That being said, absolutely. That being said, absolutely. If there are ways you can do everything that you can do as an individual and encourage people to do so, you should be doing. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we should expect others to magically fix it. I'm saying we can't just do it by ourselves. That's what I'm saying. This is just an asinine way of going about viewing the solutions to the problems. I'm saying it's just big. It's not only up to us to make decisions. Yes, you are correct. Individuals who have these options should be taking these options. My point is, solutions aren't as simple as it made out to be. No one said that. No one has said that. That is a straw man. Nobody has said that they're just, oh, boom, climate change. Ah, it's so easy. It's so easy. You actually just sound, you know, that would be me. That would be like me saying, like trying to sound like that Harvard economist, saying that, oh, the only thing that you need to do to be wealthy, or the only thing that you need to do, as a financially, fiscally good person, is just to be born rich. No, that's not what I'm saying. Currently, we need gas and oil to survive as human beings. No, not 100%. We can't just shut it down right now. Nobody's saying that we're just gonna Thanos snap and that all the oil, gas, and all this fossil fuel are gonna be gone. No one's saying that. Not a single scientist has said that we just boom and it's over. No, what they're urging is action now, is to move that needle and move that transition now. Let's start working on this. Let's start to deploy renewable forms of energy. Let's start to do that now while we still have the time that we have. That's it. That's debatable. You're just wrong, because every single consensus when it comes to climate change has been very, very in lockstep. We have to do what we can in as many ways as possible to remove ourselves from fossil fuels. We have to do that, and we have to start right now. Nobody has ever made the argument, who is a climate scientist that I have seen, that just says, oh yeah, dude, just boom, Thanos snap, and all the fossil fuels are gone. Literally no legitimate climate scientist has ever said that we're just gonna Thanos snap and everything's gonna be all good. That's not how this works. Switching oil subsidies to renewables would be a good starting point. Nobody said to just stop cold turkey. Yeah, sure. That's a good point. That's something that I would be in favor of. We got rid of CFCs in less than a decade. We can do this. Yeah, but you know how it started? It started by A, acknowledging the problem, and B, mobilizing the political will to make that illegal and slowly get rid of these things. The problem we're having is time itself, okay? The problem we're having is time itself. So, yeah, the faster we can get on board with the idea of moving to renewable energy, providing economic opportunity, to providing jobs, to providing a healthier planet, is just a no-brainer. It's just like that. It's just like that. It started by the Montreal Protocol that led to the ban on CFCs. Yeah, it started somewhere. Old people don't care about us at all. That's some pull up the ladder behind you shit. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Dr. Dragon Rider. You're right. It's this incapable, this mindset that, yes, you're right. A lot of, not all, but a lot of the older boomer generation that got theirs seems to be failing to, or not wanting to acknowledge. I agree with you on that. And in turn, unfortunately, these people are making the decisions. We needed to start way sooner. Fuck the big corporations. True. Yeah, we did need to start sooner, which is why people are beginning to be more adamant about the scenario, right? Which is the sense of urgency is why we speak in the way that we do. Which is why we speak in the way that we do. Which is why the latest IPCC report was made in the way that it was. Which is why a lot of climate scientists are saying that we do need to start. We do have the tools available. We do have the tools available. We just need to get it done. Your claim of consensus is not science, that is politics. You're just wrong. You're wrong. The consensus of what I'm talking about is literally the culmination of tens of thousands of climate scientists across the world. I believe the number was above 14,000 who participated in the IPCC. So yeah, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. Us as individuals can only do so much. It's these bigwigs and companies that need to be held accountable. Yes, that's also a piece of it. Yes. Yes, that's also a piece of it. Yes. This is not to diminish the actions that we ourselves can take. This is not to diminish the ability of us trying to influence other people, influence our friends and family to do something more sustainable. But we also need to take into account the fact that it is going to take some political will. If not, it doesn't work. There are tens of thousands of scientists who disagree with the premise as well. Wrong. Show me. Show me. Show me. There is logical debate as to what degree we can affect it. Wrong. Ignoring the consensus of experts in the field is not science, it's politics is the more correct statement. True. Well, you're not going to find it on CNN, my man. Prove it. You're making all these ridiculous claims. Nope. I'm not doing your homework for you. Prove it. I'm not researching anything. You made the claim. You've got to prove it. Everything you said has not happened because it proves you're full of BS. Okay, cool. Not researching anything? I have. I have read. I've read hundreds of papers. Okay? I've read hundreds of papers. I've read the entire summary of the IPCC report on stream. I'm making my case. That's my sources. Okay? I'm presenting you my sources. Just like how the Earth isn't going to end in 10 years. Nobody has claimed that. Not a single person has claimed that who is a scientist. Who is a scientist who has worked on the IPCC, who is a climate scientist out there doing working on the field, which I have talked to people who actually are working in the field, out there collecting data, handling that data with themselves. Nobody said that the world is going to end in 10 years. However, should we fail to get our collective shit together before then, there are irreversible chain reactions that have said, irreversible chain reactions that can be set off that will be irreversible. We can't control it, okay? If we do not attempt to turn it around, or we do not attempt to mitigate within the time that we have, then all the chain reaction domino effects that happen afterwards will become locked in. It's not dissenting opinion, you're just not living in reality. AOC, I don't care what AOC says. Do you understand that? Okay? AOC is not a climate scientist. I don't care what she says. A lot of people do. I don't care. The consensus of the scientific community is what I care about. Okay? I think climate change is so unbelievable that people can't handle the reality and they have to live in their own reality, just like COVID is a hoax, people. Yeah, it's the same thing. Just watch the movie Don't Look Up, alright? It's about you. Yeah, I won't go to a cardiologist that can help with skin cancer, right? Like, quite frankly, look. Say what you will about AOC. There's a lot of things that, on principle, I do believe. that she's correct, and I do tend to agree with some of the stuff that she says, right? But when it comes to climate change, that's something that I'm very, 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 very well read on, and I could care less what anybody, unless they're a specific climate scientist who are in the field working. Quite frankly, I don't care what a politician has to say about climate change, period. Period. I don't disagree that it's a thing. I disagree with the severity and urgency that they've been saying for 30 years. That's a fallacious leap in logic there, my friend. They've been saying this for 30 years. And they've been right. They've been right. They've been right. Look at all the adverse weather events that are culminating just in the last year. Look at how many records have been broken in the last couple of years. Look how many heat records. Look how many storms, wildfires, floods. Unprecedented. Unprecedented. That's you not believing it, you refusing to engage with reality. That's a you problem. That's a you problem. Even if it takes 30 to 40 to 50 years to mess up the point where it becomes uninhabitable, should we still act now since we're not sure yet what the point of no return is? Well, the problem is, useful idiot, we kind of already know. We kind of already know where the tipping point is, which is why they keep stressing that we should probably be on our way to being carbon free, carbon negative by X day, right? If we fail to meet that, this is what's going to happen. We have degrees of what could happen potentially based on our emissions, based on what we do, but we do have degrees of severity of what's going to happen. We have already laid out the possibilities in the latest and quite frankly very, very accurate and robust models that have taken decades to work on, that have taken the culmination of past data. All of these things have been taken into account, and we've actually kind of had a good idea of where that tipping point is. If AOC was talking about the 10-year issue, no, it's I believe honestly, what she was saying is that, like, should we fail to act within the time that we're supposed to be acting, all of these domino effects will become irreversible, so on and so forth. That's it. That's what you should be taking out of it. And either way, regardless of her statements, all of that shouldn't matter with the legitimate consensus of where we are when it comes to the climate crisis. Period. Period. Full stop. Regardless of any comments, any of her comments, regardless of the context of any of her comments, none of it matters. None of it matters. None of it matters. If you want the latest IPCC report, which is the latest consensus, feel free to check out the actual IPCC full report. So what's the solution? How do we change from an oil and gas system worldwide? Just like how we've been doing. Renewable energy has been more and more cheaper, more efficient, So what's the deal? We should encourage the building of new energy grids and energy production that does not involve fossil fuels. We can develop renewable energy with solar, wind, hydroelectric. There's even been new technology that actually uses air as batteries. Air as batteries, as opposed to the lithium batteries. There's just so much that we can do right now, but we're not. We should expand our economic reach by giving the Global South, for example, the resources it needs to move from fossil fuels to green energy. We absolutely have the capacity to do so. We need an international coalition to get together and actually move in that direction. Not just the useless COP26. It's not sufficient right now. Vehicles, energy. Yeah, but the transportation system itself isn't that much in comparison to how we make energy. Okay? Isn't the same. Is not nowhere near enough as to how we make our energy and our food as well. Besides, there are even such things as biofuels. There are even such things as biofuels that don't rely on fossil fuel. Well, why it hasn't been done is very obvious. It's to protect the dying fossil fuel industry. That's why it hasn't been done. I'd say losing 20% of livable land to climate change within a lifetime is pretty earth-shattering. Yeah, you tell those people who have lost their homes and things like that due to climate change, you tell them that it's just too much. We just can't do anything about it. In fact, we should probably just not even address that. That's what you want. Anyways, folks, it is 11:28. I do gotta get going. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hey, James Napper, coming in at the end. Thank you. Thank you, Spread It Forward. Thank you, Heat420_. I appreciate you guys being here. If you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. We are here Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And join us on Saturdays for Saturday Catteries around noon Eastern Time. I'm arguing because it hasn't been done because it's not that simple. It's incredibly complicated. So then we just can't do anything about it. We just can't do anything about it. Sorry, guys. In this guy's worldview, we should all just accept that the comet is hitting us, and we should all just look down. It wasn't a debate. It was one person not engaging with reality, and one person attempting to say that we just can't do anything about it. You should check out the IPCC reports. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.